So here Lord Kapila is explaining some practical aspects of devotional service. While performing devotional service, what all we should try to follow in the course of doing our devotional service. If we follow devotional service as it is described by great authorities like Lord Kapila, it will be effective very soon. The results of devotional service, we will be able to perceive them very soon. But if we neglect, then it will take long time. So if we are executing devotional service, then we should try to perform it as prescribed by the authorities. So, what should we try to execute in devotional service? The different angas are explained here. Like one, sarvabhuta samatvena. One has to see all living entities equal. Sarvabhuta samatvena. Next, nirvairena. He should not have any enmity towards any living entity. Nirvairena. But at the same time, this does not give us a license to mix with everyone. Aprasangataha, without intimate connection with anyone. And brahmacharyena, following the principles of celibacy, vow of celibacy. Maunena, being very grave in devotional service. Swadharmena, baliyasa, and by offering all the results. Baliyasa means to offer all our results of whatever actions we perform. Swadharmena, and by doing our eternal services, occupation of devotional service to the Supreme Lord. Varieties of different occupations given in devotional service. In Bhagavad Gita, when Krishna describes about a learned sage or a devotee of the Lord, he explains, Prabhupada explains in the purport some very important things. So the shloka says, Vidya vinaye sampanne brahmane gavi hastini shunikeva swapakecha pandita samadarshina. Learned person, pandita, Samadarshina. Here also it is said, Sarvabhuta Samatvena. All living entities should be seen with equal vision. So Samadarshi and Sarvabhuta Samatvena, they are the same. Now what is the thinking of a devotee? What is the understanding of a devotee by which he sees, his perception is that there is no distinction. So Prabhupada mentions that Krishna is giving two examples. One example is Brahmana and Swapakecha, dog eater. So one is a Brahmana as per the social point of view. Another is an outcast. So there is a distinction on social point of view between a Brahmana and between an outcast like dog eater. Krishna gives second example. Vidya Vinay Sampanne, Brahmane, Gavi, Hastini, then Shunikeva Swapakej. Dog, cow, elephant. These are different living entities in different species of life. So there may be difference from viewpoint of different species of life. There may be differences based on social viewpoints. This is because of the different kind of bodies the living entity has achieved in the present life according to their karma. So, one can make distinction on social viewpoint. From social viewpoint, yes, there are differences. Body of a Brahmana is predominantly in the mode of goodness. Body of a Chandala, dog eater, is predominantly in the mode of passion and ignorance. So, socially, the distinction is made because the body functions little differently. Brahmana, being in the mode of goodness, can think intelligently. He can discriminate what should be done, what should not be done. He can use his intelligence. Whereas, being in the mode of passion and ignorance, an outcast, he will have different sets of activities, skills, thinking, perception. Similarly, one achieves body of a cat, somebody achieves a body of an elephant or a dog, again based on the karma. So, social viewpoint and from the viewpoint of species, cat, dog belongs to different species. Elephant belongs to different species. There is a difference. but from transcendental viewpoint, one has to see. Then there is no distinction. A learned sage, a devotee is supposed to see from transcendental viewpoint. If we still see from social viewpoint or from viewpoint of species of life, then we are still on material platform. So devotees are advised, Shastra Chakshusha, one has to see as it is given in the Vedic literature through the eyes of the scriptures. So from transcendental viewpoint, there is no difference. Now what is the logic? There is no difference. So Prabhupada gives three very important understanding about that. One, this body is actually outer covering only. It is just like a dress. And the dress keeps on changing. It is not his identity. It is his temporary false identity. He, under the spell of modes of material nature, someone is thinking I am a dog, someone is thinking I am a Brahmana, but factually it is not true. He is not a dog, neither he is a Brahmana. Every living entity is eternal servant of Krishna, part and parcel of Krishna. This is the viewpoint of a learned devotee, that by karma he has got a different dress. Somebody has a dress of Brahmana, somebody has a dress of dog, somebody has a dress of cat, dog eater. So this is one understanding. So what does he understand? The quality of the soul, there is no difference. Individually, every soul is different from other soul. But quality of the soul, there is no difference. Everyone is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So, this is one logic which a devotee understands. Second, Prabhupada explains, the Supreme Lord does not make distinction. He enters in the heart of every living entity without distinction, without bothering about the external circumstances of the living entity. Some living entities in the body of a dog, some living entities covered by the body of a dog eater, somebody with Brahmana. The Supreme Lord has nothing to do with those external circumstances. He resides in every body equally, treating equally, not that just because he is a dog, the Lord treats him differently. He is still Suhradam Sarva Bhutana. It is not said he is Suhradam only for human beings. Is it said in Bhagavad Gita? Suhradam Brahmana. He is actually best well-wisher of all living entities. Then, the Supreme Lord is equally kind to every living entity. He is equally friendly, equally kind, although they are all in different bodies. So this is the second understanding devotee has. Third is, devotee understands that differentiation exists because of result of karma. So, if their karma can be changed by dovetailing all their activities in Krishna consciousness, then their karmas will change. Their earlier karma, the results of their karma, the seed of their karma will be burned to ashes. And then everybody can engage in different capacities in the service of the Lord. So there is no distinction. Correct? So, if the karma can be stopped and if the activities can be dovetailed in the service of the Lord, then we are on equal platform. There is no distinction. And actually, the gunas will also change. Gunas will also change. We see the example. Mrigari's guna changed. Mrigari was cruel hunter, very unkind, very hard-hearted. His gunas changed. Right? Demoniac qualities he had. He became filled with divine qualities. So much so that he was envious of living entities. He became very friendly. So much so that he does not want to harm even a small insect. So gunas will also change. So these are all temporary positions. Somebody is Brahmana, somebody is Kshatriya, somebody is outcast, Chandala. That is why in Vaishnavas, it is very important principle given in the scripture. One should not discriminate based on the body. This is American Vaishnava, this is Negro Vaishnava, Black Vaishnava. This is Chandala Vaishnava. There is no black Vaishnava, white Vaishnava, Negro Vaishnava, isn't it? That is all our old karmas, old social positions. Sarva upadhi vinir muktam. Devotee is free from all these false designations. Only designation is servant of Krishna. That's all. One who distinguishes based on body, he actually narakiya buddhi, he is having a hellish mentality. So these are the understandings. Now, what is the effect of this? Okay, I see every living entity as equal. Chandala also equal. All living entities are, there is no distinction. What does he do? So the devotee becomes compassionate. That actually every living entity is part and parcel of Krishna. They are supposed to be serving Krishna and enjoying the transcendental bliss in service. But unfortunately, now they are trapped by Maya. So, his equal vision translates into great preaching effort by him. And that is how we find Great personalities like Prahlad Maharaj are very compassionate. Soche tato vimukha chetasam is thinking. So that distinction they make. That yes, from spiritual platform they are equal. But what is the meaning of being equal? What should I do? He is actually part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. He should be serving the Supreme Lord. Now he is serving his senses. Unfortunately, they do not know that actually the most important swartha of every living entity is Vishnu. Nate vidu swartha gatim hi Vishnu. They do not know. So, he preaches. That is how he sees every living entity equally. Not that just in words, yes, all living entities are equal. Isn't it? What is the meaning of seeing all living entities as equal? Prabhupada explains is that the devotee is compassionate, understands that actually every living entity deserves to enjoy the company of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that is how he sees every living entity equally. Next is Sarvabhuta Samatvena Nirvairena. He does not have any enmity towards any living entity. So in this, there are three different understanding of how a devotee deals practically in this material world. For a neophyte, the dealings are different. For a devotee on the middle platform, the dealings are different. And for a Uttamadhikari, the dealings are different. An Uttamadhikari does not make any distinction. He does not make any distinction between envious, non-envious, and he preaches equally to all. Because he is on that stage of understanding. Whereas for Madhyama, devotees on middle platform, they are advised to neglect envious people. They are advised. Otherwise, our devotional service will be harmed. Because neither we have the conviction to make them Krishna conscious, neither we have that power by which, spiritual power by which we can turn him towards Krishna. So, our associating with them actually will harm us. Our devotional service will be hampered. So we should simply neglect envious people. That is how it is advised. And he makes friendship with those who are favorable to Krishna consciousness, and compassion towards those who are not yet Krishna conscious but are simple-hearted, ignorant, but not envious. That is how devotee on middle platform is advised. And of course, Kanishta, he does not understand devotee, non-devotee. So that is how the Kanishtadhikari is. He is just busy in his sadhana and his devotional service, does not know how to deal with devotees also. So he thinks only in terms of I and the Supreme Lord. Does not understand that the Supreme Lord is surrounded with so many loving devotees and he should learn the art of dealing with devotees. So that is a neophyte. And his Shraddha is very, very komala. So definitely both Kanishtha and Madhyama, they have to neglect, they have to avoid the association of those who are envious. But otherwise, the devotee on topmost platform does not make a distinction. So, we only avoid, we are not envious of them. That is very important. Devotee is not inimical towards envious people. He understands that this is all temporary phase of his ignorance, where he has become inimical to devotional service, inimical to Krishna. But that is not his real nature. Originally, everyone is servant of the Lord. So, he understands that, but he also understands that at this stage of my devotional platform, I am not in a position to associate and convince him. It will hamper my devotional service. So he neglects. But he is not envious of him. That should be understood very clearly. Third is aprasangataha. Just because the devotee is not envious of others does not mean he intimately connects with everyone. This is also very important. His dealings should be only with devotees. Compassion is towards ignorant. If we start too much in our dealings with materialistic people, then actually our devotional service will be lost. This is where devotees have to be very, very careful. Unless one has come to spiritual platform, one has to make these distinctions. Not that everyone is servant of Krishna. Theoretically, we understand everyone is servant of Krishna. Then if everyone is servant of Krishna, why are we gratifying senses? Isn't it? So, everyone is servant of Krishna, so let me associate with everyone. Isn't it? Oh yes, that is what it is said. Every living entity is equal. I should not be envious to anyone. So let me associate with everyone. So it is also said aprasangataha, to make this misunderstanding. That does not mean that you intimately be related with everyone. Isn't it? So this distinction is there. Dealings only with devotees. Compassion, preaching for everyone. That is required. And then brahmacharyena maunena, observing the vow of celibacy. So two things Prabhupada explains here in today's purport very nicely. Celibacy does not necessitate that one be absolutely free from sex life. Satisfaction with one's wife is permitted under the vow of celibacy. So there are certain rules and regulation in Grihastha Ashrama. If one is ready to follow, so that also is very important. Satisfaction with one's wife with rules and regulations for procreating. Not that, just because I am married does not mean it gives me a license. That should be understood very clearly. So, very simple, Prabhupada is explaining. See here, Prabhupada says, best policy is to avoid sex life altogether. If somebody can follow, best. No tension, no carrying of huge load on your head, isn't it? If somebody can do this, very good. He does not require to make any compromise and get into Grihastha Ashrama. That is preferable. That is preferable. Otherwise, if it is difficult, devotee can get married under religious principle and live peacefully with a wife. If one is still agitated in his mind, if he still feels it is difficult, then it is advised for him that he should leave, because spiritual life cannot be performed with agitation of mind. With agitated mind, cannot perform. So these are the only two things. Either without agitation you carry on, or if you feel it is very difficult, then get into Grihastha Ashrama and live peacefully. So that is how it is celibacy. And Maunena, Prabhupada explains some few very important things. Devotee should not speak needlessly. Serious devotee has no time to speak of nonsense. So, if you are not serious, that yes, gossiping, criticizing, all these things. Actually, devotee has no time for all these things. Serious devotee has no time. So, if somebody is engaging in all these things, that means actually he is not very serious in Krishna consciousness. He has some other agenda. Political agenda, so many agendas people will have. We all come from different backgrounds, isn't it? Grosser anarthas, maybe to greater extent, yes, we don't drink tea, coffee, we are able to avoid alcohol, we are able to avoid meat eating, but are we able to avoid distinction, labha, puja, pratishtha, isn't it? When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was cleansing the Gundicha temple, Prabhupada explains, every grain of sand, every grain of dust. So there will be some gross dust, there will be some subtle dust. So even subtle dust has to be removed. Then it becomes a place to receive the Supreme Lord. Like that we have to do. So, serious devotee means actually he has no time for all these things. He has no other agenda. And rather Prabhupada explains, very enthusiastic to speak about Krishna. That is real Maunena. About nonsense, no time. Not interested, not inclined. About Krishna, very enthusiastic. See how you can make a distinction between who is serious, who is not serious. Somebody is very enthusiastic to gossip, so you can understand he is not very serious in Krishna consciousness. Somebody is very enthusiastic in speaking about Krishna, we can understand he is very serious in Krishna consciousness. Simple. So, he is always busy in Krishna consciousness. Whatever he speaks about Krishna. Mauna means silence. Silence does not mean one should not speak at all, but that he should not speak of nonsense. He should be very enthusiastic in speaking about Krishna. And Swadharmena, Prabhupada explains that being exclusively occupied in one's eternal occupation, which is to act as Krishna's servant, eternal servant of the Lord, or to act in Krishna consciousness. So whatever our prescribed duties are given in Krishna consciousness, they are very important. One should carry them out faithfully, understanding they are prescribed by my spiritual master, given by my spiritual master. So that is our Swadharmena. And Baliyasa, the next word Baliyasa means offering the results of all activities to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So devotee does not do anything on account of sense gratification. So automatically he is acting on behalf of Krishna. So either you can act on behalf of your sense enjoyment, or you can act on behalf of Krishna. So whatever a devotee does, he does for the satisfaction of Krishna. This should be simple rule. By this action which I am going to perform, are my senses being satisfied or Krishna being satisfied? If we make this simple understanding, then it is very easy what we should do, what we should not. So with this action, with this whatever activities I am doing, whether Krishna will be satisfied or I am doing it for my sense enjoyment. So devotee does not act on his own behalf, he always acts on behalf of the Supreme Lord for his satisfaction. So Prabhupada is saying, whatever he earns, whatever he eats, and whatever he does, he offers for the satisfaction of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So like this we will find so many other important things Lord Kapila is going to describe. Practical aspects of devotional life, what we should do, what we should not. So we'll stop with this. Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki.